Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this lecture, we will discuss about the classification of anemia on the basis of underlying mechanism. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the classification of anemia on the basis of morphology and three varieties: microcytic, macrocytic, and normocytic. And now we discuss about the classification of anemia on the basis of underlying mechanism. Broadly, anemia could be caused by three mechanisms. What are those? Either there is the decreased red cell production, or there is the increased red cell destruction, or there could be the loss of RBCs, blood loss. So what are those three broad categories on the basis of underlying mechanism? Either there is the increased decreased red cell production, or there is that red cells are normally produced but there is the increased red cell destruction, or there is the loss of RBCs. Now in this lecture we will mainly focus upon the decreased red cell production. We will discuss the various examples in which we will see that the RBCs are not normally being produced, that there is the decreased red cell production. Now in decreased red cell production, the most important is the malnutrition. Malnutrition is that there is either the iron deficiency, that your diet is not adequate, you are not eating the balanced diet. There could be the iron deficiency, there could be the vitamin B12 deficiency, and there could be the folic acid deficiency. You know that iron is required for the synthesis of the hemoglobin, and vitamin B12 they are required for the synthesis of DNA. So when there would be the iron deficiency, there would be the reduced synthesis of hemoglobin, and when there would be the vitamin B12 and folic acid deficiency, there would be the decreased synthesis of DNA. So there would be no normal maturation of RBCs. So in the decreased red cell production, the first most important cause is the malnutrition. The second could be the aplastic anemia. Aplastic anemia. A mean no and plastic mean tissue. In aplastic anemia, there is the bone marrow failure. Okay, in aplastic anemia, there is the bone marrow failure due to any cause. Either there is an infection due to parvovirus P19 or any drugs which causes the bone marrow failure. So in this disorder, in this condition, there would be reduced RBCs production because there is not the normal hematopoietic bone marrow present, so there would be the reduced production of RBCs. But along with that, there would be other cells would also be reduced in number, like reduced WBCs and reduced platelets. So along with anemia, in aplastic anemia, you would see the increased risk of infection and hemorrhagic crisis, because WBCs and platelets are also reduced. Now the third most important variety of the decreased production of red cell could be the chronic kidney disease, CKD. Why in CKD there's a decreased red cell production? Everyone knows that in kidney it is the major contributor of the erythropoietin. So there would be, when there would be the chronic kidney disease, the erythropoietin would be reduced. So because erythropoietin stimulate the bone marrow to produce the RBCs, when the erythropoietin would not be synthesized in an enough amount due to chronic kidney disease, then the stimulation of a bone marrow would not be occur, and the RBCs would be reduced in number. They would not be synthesized in an enough amount. There would be decreased red cell production. The fourth could be the anemia of chronic disorders. What is anemia of the chronic disorders? Okay, in anemia of chronic disorders, in chronic disorder, what could be? There could be an inflammatory condition, any inflammatory process, or there could be any malignancy, and various others. So in inflammatory condition like rheumatoid arthritis, and malignancy could be various, either there is a CA breast or there is a CA lung, and so what occur in these conditions? Actually the inflammatory cytokines are produced. What are produced? Inflammatory cytokines. And these inflammatory cytokines, they either reduce the production of erythropoietin by the kidney and liver, or they doesn't allow the erythropoietin to act on the bone marrow. So in that condition there would also be the reduced production of RBCs, because erythropoietin cannot function properly or not being produced normally. So that was the and that was about the anemia of chronic disorder. The fifth cause in which there is the reduced red cell production could be the inherited genetic defects. So fifth could be the malnutrition, aplastic anemia, CKD, anemia of chronic disorders, and in the fifth there could be any inherited genetic defect in which the RBCs, there's decreased production of red cell. So in inherited genetic defects, there could be defects that lead to the stem cell depletion. So when there would be the stem cell depletion, the red cell would also be normally not produced, and in that there comes the Fanconi anemia. In this there is the red cell depletion due to the inherited genetic defect. And the second could be the defect that and there could be the genetic defect that affect the erythroblast maturation, like thalassemia. In thalassemia minor and major, there is a defect in the either in the alpha chain or beta chain, so hemoglobin is not properly synthesized, so there would be the reduced production of red cell. So I again repeat for you, in the classification on the basis of underlying mechanism, we mainly discussed that there either there could be the decreased red cell production or increased red cell destruction or blood loss or loss of RBCs. Now in the decreased red cell production, they could be either the most important in decreased red cell production is malnutrition, that either there is the iron deficiency or there is vitamin B12 or folic acid deficiency, and concurrently there would be the reduced red cell production. The second we discussed about the aplastic anemia. There is the bone marrow failure, that is the factory, the site from where the RBCs have to be synthesized, that is defective. Along with the decreased RBCs, there would be decreased WBCs and platelets as well. And third, we discuss about the CKD, the chronic kidney disease, the hormone which stimulate the synthesis of the RBCs that is not being normally produced, the erythropoietin, so there would be the reduced RBCs. The fourth is the anemia of the chronic disorders, that is that there could be an inflammatory disorder like rheumatoid arthritis, it is a chronic condition. Malignancy, it is a chronic condition. So in these chronic conditions, there is various inflammatory cytokines are produced, which actually they affect that hormone which stimulate the RBC production, that is the erythropoietin. So either they decrease the production of that hormone, or either they doesn't allow that hormone erythropoietin to act on the bone marrow. And the fifth is the inherited genetic defect. And in inherited genetic defect, we discuss about the Fanconi anemia and thalassemia. In Fanconi anemia, there was the stem cell depletion from where the RBCs have to be synthesized, so there would be reduced RBC synthesis. And in thalassemia, the main part of the RBC, that is the hemoglobin, the core molecule, which is not being synthesized due to the genetic defect, so again the RBC would not be synthesized. Hope so it would be easy for you. I try my best to make it easy so that you can well understand. Now thanks for watching this video, and keep watching the next video, which is the continuation of this lecture.